Hi, this is part 3 of increasing and decreasing an image's brightness in a simple way. In this video, I will be converting our current code into functions in a more compact and readable manner. This is for more advanced programmers, as I feel it's an important step that you should actually be taking in all of your programs. So let's get straight into it. As you can see, what we've currently done is we have our image. We are checking if it is a positive or negative increase in brightness. Alright, this means is it going to be brighter or darker, and we are in essence running two if statements which are taking up a lot of lines, making this code very unreadable and unfriendly to work with. So we're going to create two functions to deal with this problem, one called increase brightness. Alright, okay, and it will be a void function, alright, as it will not be returning any value, and we will be sending it a few parameters. Alright, we will be sending it two color images, okay, one being a reference to the current image that we will be loading in. The next variable will be also a color image. However, this one will be reference to the new image that we'll be using, which we can name as, or give the same name as we did before. So we have our color image here, which we are sending, and our new color image over here, which we are sending, okay, to this function. Next, we will be sending the brightness, okay, which we can see is from here. So we can actually just copy this over here if you'd like. Alright, just to make it simpler for you guys to understand, as well as having our threshold. Okay, this is the exact same variable as this that we are just calling into here. Now, this makes it a lot easier for us. All we need to do is simply copy and paste our for loop and if statements. So we can copy this directly into here, and because this one will be increasing the brightness, I will be getting rid of the decreasing the brightness part of the for loop. Alright, we also do not need this if statement anymore, as we're not checking brightness because we know that we are going to be increasing brightness in this function. And as we can see, I don't know how to spell, so never mind about that. So we will remove this if else statement, okay, and we can remove the indentation, alright, of this function. Alright, so now this should be good enough for our increase brightness function. Okay, now we do not need a return value here because this is void, and because we are sending a reference to all of the images, it will automatically update the originals, okay, or in this case only update this original but read in and from here, and we don't create any new variables and lose memory. Okay, now in order to do a decrease brightness, we simply just copy paste this function, okay, and we can simply change this to decrease, okay, decrease brightness, and only thing we need to change is this part of the for loop. So as you can see, I went back into our main and I just took the part of this if statement that would be decreasing the brightness of the image or making it darker, and I will copy and paste that directly over this part of the this part of the for loop. Okay, replacing that if statement, and we can make it a bit neater. Okay, as you can see, the only real difference here is, like the previous video, we just swapped these two lines around, okay, which we did kind of the same thing here, and we assigned, instead of creating the maximum value of 255, we assigned it the ground value of 0, okay, or the darkest value possible. Okay, from here, this will make our lives a lot simpler in our main, okay, because right now our main is very big and it makes it difficult to read. So all we simply need to do now is remove these for loops that we've been dealing with. Okay, we can decrease the indent of this line. Alright, we can actually get rid of everything here. So let's just get rid of it so that it makes it easier to read, and let's actually just get rid of it here. We can work with this if statement over here. Alright, so what I'm doing now is simply surrounding this statement with brackets. So in this first part of the if statement, we're checking if the brightness is increasing or decreasing. So if the brightness is going to be increased greater than 100, we will need to say increase brightness. Okay, we will need to be sending it the original image, the new image, as well as the brightness and the threshold. Okay, so by doing this, we have now created the main a little bit smaller, as we don't have all of these functions or all of these lines of code inside our main body. Okay, so this is to check if the brightness is going to is greater than 0, so if we're going to increase or decrease the brightness. Okay, if it is greater than 0, we'll be increasing the brightness, so we will just be adjusting our threshold, okay, based on the brightness value that we've been given, as well as then calling this function to increase the brightness of every pixel in the images provided, okay, or from this image to our new image. Same can be done for the darker side, the darker images, and we can just change this to decrease brightness, okay, which is our function over here. Now hopefully this should work, so let's decide we want to decrease or create a darker image only by 50 this time, okay, and let's call it new not so darker peppers 2. Let's run this code and see the outcome. Hopefully there's no errors. Seems to be good. Let's navigate to our file directory, and as you can see, there is a new image that is not so darker. If it's going to load, I don't know. Yes, there we go, and let's have a look at the original. Alright, so now we have 3 new images, well, actually 1 new image. This was the original darker one that we did in the previous video that you can see is really quite dark in a lot of areas, and this is your not so dark image that you've just decreased the darkness by or the brightness by 50, and this one is the original image. Hope this was helpful for you in understanding how to increase and decrease the brightness simply. Hopefully in the next video we will be dealing with something a bit more complex.